This is the place
They almost lean on each other.
where men are separated
The gloves are off, and they are going to battle.
by less than half a second.
Side by side. Here they come to the quad oval. It's Bobby Hamilton, Mark Skinner, and Bobby Hamilton will win the EasyCare 200.
2 years in a row.
Bobby Labonte, they hit again. It's Bobby Labonte and Ron Hornaday goes across the start finish line just inches in front of Bobby Labonte.
Now, the Craftsman Truck Series returns to Atlanta for the second time this season. Only now, the stakes have been raised. Ted Musgrave, new points leader, is primed to capitalize off Dennis Setzer's Martinsville troubles.
Oh, crash off turn 4. Big damage to the point leader.
Setzer, dethroned after commanding the series since late June, now has to claw his way back with only 4 races remaining. One thing is certain. Another captivating show around the mile-and-a-half oval is due. The only question is, who will battle, door to door, wheel to wheel, for the checkered flag? Get your cameras ready. Race 22 of 25 starts now.
They touch. They bang. It's going to be a photo finish. Holy cow, what an ending to this one.
After his 4th place finish last week, Ted Musgrave takes over the points lead. Dennis Setzer takes on a new role, that of hunter instead of the hunted. And Ricky Craven got a huge monkey off his back by winning his first truck race. Our points race is tight, and the end of the season is coming fast. Fast is the best descriptor for Atlanta Motor Speedway. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. A crisp fall afternoon just south of Atlanta, Georgia. Temperature just 61 degrees. Take a look at our 4 top 10 point standings. 4 races remaining. Mathematically, everyone in the top 10 still in contention. Realistically, it's down to 2. 2 is the number of positions Ricky Craven moved up to break back into the top 10. Let's look back at last week's short track race.
Ricky Craven, Todd Cleaver were 2 of the guys. Actually, there's a few guys that stayed out here that had pitted earlier.
I don't know what strategy Craven's playing right now. Is he planning on staying out the rest of the way?
He pitted on lap number 54. Last year, Jamie McMurray won this race. You know when he pitted?
No.
Lap 45.
Down the backstretch, Ricky Craven has put 10 truck lengths between himself and second place Todd Cleaver. As he comes out of turn 4, the checkered flag will fly. The Kroger 200 goes to Ricky Craven.
Wow, that's a great story, man. I'm so happy for Ricky Craven.
Nice job, Ricky Craven. Nice job.
I really appreciate you never giving up.
This is what I wanted to do. I was looking to have some fun again, and today I had some fun.
Let me promise you something. Everybody in the booth said you had horrible strategy today. I think you proved us all wrong.
Ricky Craven is just starting his pre-race ceremonies. That win at Martinsville pushed Roush Racing above Ultra Motorsports, putting them at the top of the list for the most wins in the Truck Series. That was a great day for you, memorable day for Roush Racing. How much confidence does this give you going into the last 4 races?
It's real big. I appreciate you interviewing me. I'm going to try and back it up, but real proud of the team.
And he does have pre-race interviews, and Jack Sprague says hello as well. Let's go check in with Ray, who might not be so rushed there in the pre-race ceremonies.
No problem, Wendy. We got lots of time, and I want to introduce you to Todd Cleaver. Folks, if you don't know this guy, up-and-comer in the Roush Racing organization, no doubt about it. But no win yet so far in 2005. Is today the day to make it?
Well, it's about as good a day as any. This is a home office of World Financial Group, one of my sponsors, and we got Show Rotella in the truck today. We're going to win one soon. I just got to quit worrying about it. I put a lot of pressure on myself the last 6 weeks or so to win, and it hasn't happened yet, and I can't force it. It's going to happen soon enough, and I'm just going to relax and have fun and go racing, and we'll get one of these before the end of the year and take home my Ray Bestest Rookie of the Year title.
I think that will be the key, no doubt about it. But 3 times this year you finished second, including last week to your teammate Ricky Craven's. Got to work on the old noggin a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not that we haven't run well enough to win a race. We have, you know, we just, for whatever reason, Haven't pulled it off yet, but it's going to come, man. And the more I stress out about it, the harder it's going to be and the harder it's going to be to get it. So we're just going to relax, have fun, and you know, go back to racing like we know how to do.
Okay, go get him today. That's Todd Cleaver, and this team has been very good on the mile-and-a-half tracks. Wendy?
Thanks, Ray. A little bit more time with Bill Lester. He makes his 100th career start today, and he starts 7th on the grid. This is going to be a great day for you, memorable, because you live right here in Atlanta.
That's right. It's hot Atlanta. It's my hometown. You know, I hope to think we're going to be able to represent here strong for this track. Looking forward to it. The Waste Management Tundra is very strong, especially in race trim, so I'm expecting big things. We know these Toyotas are strong at these mile-and-a-half tracks. How have you been in practice this weekend? Very good. I mean, we haven't really made very many adjustments from the time we unloaded it. So, you know, Doug Wolcott and the guys have really worked hard at the shop, and I think we're going to pay dividends here in a minute. Bill Lester looks to add his name to the 15th different winner this season. Ray?
Hey, Wendy, let's talk to his teammate, and that'd be Mike Skinner. Congratulations, man. Another pole, and by getting the pole here today, that wraps up the season. You get a $10,000 bonus from Budweiser.
That's cool. I want to thank Budweiser for that. But, Ray, it's been awesome driving this Tundra. It's been a lot of fun, and on these big tracks, it's awfully fast. And, you know, we just happy to be here, man. It's just awesome.
A couple of fourths and a second for you when you've won the pole, but not the victory. So what's going to be the key to making that happen today?
You know, we had an awfully good truck here back in the spring, and I guess we ran over something or whatever. We had a tire problem, and the right front tire blew. So, you know, I think my mental strategy is to take it a little easier on the tires and hope like heck we can get to the end, because I think we got an awesome truck.
Congratulations, Mike Skinner on the pole for the 6th time in 2005.
Records continue to be broken, and we will have a new champion in 2005. The question now is, who will it be? Could it be our new points leader, who's definitely on a roll, that being Ted Musgrave? Or will it be a reeling Dennis Setzer, who's trying to right the ship and continue to gain his first championship? Ted Musgrave and Dennis Setzer will battle it out in Atlanta, as well as 34 others in the EasyCare Service Contracts 200. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Unfortunately, Dennis Setzer lost the points lead. Do you have any ill will towards Ted Musgrave and the beating and banging that went on?
No, that's just standard Martinsville. We was kind of in his way at that time. We were on some older tires. We were fixing to tune our Silverado up, but unfortunately, just a tough day for us all around. These guys, they do a great job. They've got us a good Silverado unloaded here, qualified 6th, and if this thing races as good as it did in the spring, we'll be okay. Now, we know you as a short track king, but you've been dominant on the mile-and-a-half tracks. How does that give you momentum going in today's race? We're pretty excited. You know, this is a wide open mile-and-a-half track, so fast. Qualifying's for sure wide open for everyone in the field today, and you know, we'll just see how long you can stay on the mat here in the race. That's going to tell the story right now. Dennis Setzer now finds himself chasing the championship leader, Ted Musgrave.
Well, Ted Musgrave has had a great season, back in the point lead right now, but we've had 6 races so far this year on a mile-and-a-half, and no victories for you yet, but you got a great starting position today. Can you win this race today?
I believe we got a shot at it, Ray. You know, like I say, qualifying effort was way better than we've always had. Front row help out. I just hope I can try and lead the first lap for some 5 bonus points. But winning it, we're going to sure try like heck. But you know how it is. You just got to kind of just see how the racing goes here in Atlanta. Anything can happen, as we found out earlier.
Okay, we wish you good luck today. That is Ted Musgrave, and he is at the top of the points. Wendy?
Brandon Witt finished 3rd last week, and now he starts 3rd here in Atlanta. Brandon, how's your truck at this kind of track?
Our DW Boogity Grill Toyota Tundra is very good. We went testing during the break in between Vegas and Martinsville, and I think we've got our mile-and-a-half program picked up very well. So hopefully we'll stay in the top 5 today and repeat what we did at Martinsville last week.
All right, good luck to you. Let's go back upstairs.
Gorgeous afternoon for racing. The trucks are covered up, but they will be uncovered shortly as the drivers have been introduced to a great crowd on hand in Atlanta. Racing fans have come from all across the country to watch the tough trucks grace the high banks of Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Because Kane never could, so I always put all my blood and sweat on the line. 'Cause I do what I feel, if you don't think I will. Say I won't.
Let's see. Likes. Vegas, mob movies, prime win.
No. Gotta do that. Off-season musicals, fruity drinks, tailgating, playing 18, happy hour.
Oh, man. A perfect date. Weekday mornings with Mayhem in the AM.
Competitors and our fans today, thank you for the sunshine. In Jesus' name, amen.
That was Bill Brannon, our chaplain here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Mercury Nashville Records, Julie Roberts, as she performs today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, they flew through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Pre-race ceremonies wrapping up. The drivers will be strapping into their trucks, and we'll be getting ready to race in Atlanta. The two previous ones have come down to the final 10 feet before the finish line. We'll see if that happens again today.
Remember me?
But he does not allow his enemy's will to be imposed on him.
Nervous? This is gonna be fun.
Welcome back to Hampton, Georgia. We're just south of Atlanta, but EasyCare Vehicle Services 200. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200 on Speed Channel. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip. Now, 6 races ago, we were ready to engrave the trophy for Dennis Setzer. But things have changed, and momentum has gone a different direction, hasn't it, Phil?
Well, Rick, momentum is so big in all of sports, and racing is no exception. 6 races ago, Dennis Setzer was cruising along. As you mentioned, we were going to put his name on the trophy. He was going to win the championship going away, and all of a sudden, it turned. He had just won 4 of the previous 6 races, and then it turned. He can't seem to do anything right. On the other hand, Ted Musgrave has been so good the last 6 races. His average finish is just a little bit over 3 in those 6 races. He went from 227 points behind to now, as you can see, he's 54 points ahead. Right now, the momentum is definitely on Ted Musgrave's side. Gene Need crew chief had a team meeting this week. They weren't talking about points. They were talking about how they can win this race here in Atlanta. And I like that kind of talk. He's going to be awfully tough.
Well, with the momentum right now being in Ted Musgrave's pits, how does Dennis Setzer get the momentum back, Michael?
Just simply by performing, Rick. They go out here, go out on this racetrack today, and they run like they're capable of, and the momentum will swing. I don't think we can tell who's got the favorite for the championship right now, because both these teams are very, very capable of winning all the races that are left. they can go on a roll and make this happen. So for me, it's going to be so much fun to watch because I don't know which cat to pull for. I don't know who's going to pull this deal off.
It is really a toss-up. 2 races have been won by Dennis Setzer at Texas, and Ted Musgrave's been very successful at Phoenix as well as Homestead, where we finished up the last 3 races after this one. So a great points battle we've got building up here. Let's take a look at the Aqua Velva track description on this just over 1.5 mile track.
Michael, this is one of the best tracks on the circuit, any circuit. They can run from the very bottom of the racetrack to your groove up against the wall.
The fans are going to freak out when they throw the green flag. They go to turn 1, it's going to look like there's oil on the track because these guys are going to scatter and go everywhere. Guys will run literally, they can run 4 trucks wide in a turn, and you'll see that before today's over. And then also bump drafting. You know, you really get in all these tight packs, you want to bump the guy ahead of you and help him get that position so you can move up as well. That's a dangerous game to play, especially at a place here like Atlanta.
Well, normally we see bump drafting at the super speedways like Daytona or Talladega, but you mentioned bump drafting might happen here at Atlanta. Let's take a look at the Aqua Velva race analysis. 36 trucks will again be starting we're going 130 laps. It's just over 200 miles.
Pit window is about 55 to 60 laps for fuel, but most of the drivers feel like they're going to want new tires probably in somewhere around 40 laps. NASCAR allowed them to practice with an extra set of tires, so most all of these teams will have 4 sets of tires for this race, 1 on the truck to start with, and then 3 in the pits.
And I'm sure of the strategy today, Phil. You have to get tires late. You can't pit on lap 45 or 50 like they did last week and win the race. You're going to have some fresh tires near the end of this race. So you're going to have to conserve your tires and be ready to put them on at the end.
And you're sure about this?
I'm positive. I don't think it can happen either. Anyway, I don't think. Well, what do y'all think?
I think we need to get this one underway. Let's go down to hear today's command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Curran, COO, Automobile Protection Corporation, EasyCare, as well as his sons Ian and Duncan, as they give those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Engines are fired up. The drivers all strapped in. They will be making a couple laps around the track before we get the green flag. Who will win in Atlanta? We've had 2 different winners so far. Will we have our 3rd today?
It's black top, white lines, hazard lights and the warning signs. I want the rush of 100 mile an hour love.
Engines are fired up. The officials still standing next to the trucks before they roll out onto the track. A rule that has been implemented prior to this race. Everyone has been talking about tires in NASCAR, and it has come to the truck series as well. They have to have 47 pounds in the right front tire, and not only when they start this race, but also when they put on new tires as well.
That's exactly right. And a lot of the crew chiefs in the garage here said they thought that was going to hurt them because they had run less air than that. That's a handling tool that they will not have today.
We look at the waste management starting grid. Mike Skinner with his 23rd pole will take the field to the green flag today.
There's Bobby Labonte back in the 47 truck. Almost won this race.
He's won in a cup race here 6 times, Michael.
And he came so close in the spring to winning.
You mentioned almost won. Ron Hornaday will start on the outside of row 8. He was the winner of that race that Bobby Labonte finished 8/1000ths of a second behind.
Joey Miller going to make his 2nd career start in Darrell Waltrip's number 12 Toyota.
There's Todd Bodine. Look for he and Jimmy Spencer with their experience at this place, Phil. This is a place a whole lot like Darlington. It's hard to stick to, and as your tires wear down, guys like Todd Bodine and Jimmy Spencer could come to the front.
There's Eric Norris on inside of row number 12. He will make one of his infrequent starts. Always does a great job on that 07 truck.
Bobby Hamilton won the first race here a year ago.
Watch him skirt to the top on lap 1 and wind up in the top 10 on about lap 3. That's what he did here in the spring. It was amazing to watch him move through the field.
42 trucks tried to qualify for the 36th position. These are the 6 that are going home today.
Got some great trucks. Unfortunately, not able to make the race here. Clay Rogers, who had a great run at Loudon earlier this year, unfortunately not quick enough to make the field.
You had talked about experience. We'll be riding along with Jimmy Spencer. He starts 22nd in his Team ASE Dodge.
There's David Starr, the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet. He starts 17th. He was in that mix here this spring. 5 or 6 trucks under a blanket, end up finishing in the top 5.
That's David Rudeman. He won at Nashville. He's had a solid season so far this year. That's the NTN Bearings Toyota. Look for Rudeman to be tough. He sat on the pole here a year ago, ran really well.
We'll ride along with Bobby Labonte and talk about experience at Atlanta. This guy has had a lot of success. He's pretty much dominated as far as the Cup Series goes in recent years. We look at our pole sitter, Mike Skinner. He has the ability to win the Craftsman win from the pole award. It's $16,000 today that he could win for his crew if he's able to win this race starting from the pole position.
Let's see if we can start to talk to Kyle Busch. He's starting on the inside of row number 3. Kyle Busch, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Phil. What's up?
Kyle, looks like Richie Waters, Billy Blue gave you a great truck again. You've won 2 of these things this year. Can you make it number 3 today?
I certainly hope so. That's the plan. You know, we've had awesome trucks, just like you said, here at the 1.5-mile racetracks. Charlotte and Dover only being a mile, but I'm looking forward to today. Billy Blue Motorsports, I enjoy racing for them all the time here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We got a couple new sponsors on board with us today. We got Crud Cutter and Land Liquidations on eBay, so we're looking forward to hopefully putting on a good show for all the folks here this weekend with Billy Blue. And, you know, it's his hometown, Atlanta Motor Speedway, so hopefully we can do something good for him.
All right, Kyle, we know that you got to run the top of the racetrack here. Have you practiced up top yesterday?
I did, actually. You know, we ran you can run about the first 10, 12, maybe 15 laps on the bottom, depending on how good your truck is. And then you got to move up a little bit towards the top side just to kind of see it play around. I played with it a little bit yesterday. It was a little bit slower for me up there than it was down towards the bottom side. So it looks like to me I've got a pretty good truck that I can stay on the bottom with, but I'll still be searching around. There's no doubt about that.
All right, Kyle, thanks. Have a great run.
All right, have a good time watching up in the booth there, guys.
Thank you, Kyle. We'll go down pit road and Wendy Venerini.
Bobby Hamilton won here last year and finished 3rd in the spring. We know he has experience coming to this track. He did so running the high group, but when I just spoke to him, he said he probably isn't going to be on the high group today because when he just ran the IROC race, it was a little slick for him. So we may see Bobby Hamilton try a different groove on the track than we've seen him the last 2 races. He qualified 25th. He has a lot of space to make up today, but I think he can do it with his experience. Right?
Hey, Wendy, when they ran the Busch Series here back in March, the top 9 finishers were all from the Nextel Cup Series. Now, that's not just because they're great drivers. It's because they had an extra set of tires. Well, today, as the guy said in the booth, tires will be an issue. On the wall for Dennis Setzer, we see they've got a set of scuffs over there. 1 set of scuffs here, that'll be set number 2. And they're saving a set of stickers for their very last run. Now, there are a couple of trucks in this field that actually have 3 sets of stickers to rely on today. And many of the crew chiefs tell me that they think sticker tires are going to be better than scuffs. We'll have to see how it plays out. But as Michael said, they're going to hold on to this last set of tires till at least 30 laps to go.
Hey, Mike Skinner, it's Mike up here in the speed booth. You got a copy?
What's happening, Mikey?
Oh, we're just up here talking about the fact that did a poll through the garage area, and everybody said you were the man to beat, that your truck was fast. They said you might have a tire issue, though. You've had it before in the past. Then I heard you say in the pre-race interview that you're going to take it easy. I've never seen you do that. I can't wait to watch. Is that going to be the plan?
If you see me not taking it easy, come on the radio and tell me to take it easy. Last time you said I was going to have tire problems, we won the race. I love it when you say that.
Yeah, and last time I said the guy that had the right strategy was going to, I mean, it's just a mess up here for me. But we're looking forward to watching you drive the heck out of that Toyota, Skinner. You're fun to watch. Go get them. You're coming to the green. Buckle up and do all that stuff your crew chief tells you since I'm taking up your airwaves.
All right, Mikey. You guys have fun up there.
The field all in line, 36 trucks lined up side by side. Following Randy Kaiser in the pace truck, he will duck down onto pit road. And again, Mike Skinner and Ted Musgrave making up row number 1.
Now you watch this, Rick. When they get to turn 1, you're going to think there's oil on the track. These cats are going to go everywhere.
Fans all on their feet. The green flag flies. We're underway.
So many of these racetracks, people fight for the bottom. They're going to be fighting for every position, as you mentioned, from the very bottom to the top. Kyle Busch already jumps to the inside, made it 3 wide, moves up into 3rd.
Wow, and he looks like he's going for first, Phil, off turn 2. Look at him, pitches it to the bottom. He's got him 3 wide on the back straightaway, going for the lead.
3 and 4 wide as they came out of turn number 2. They're 3 wide for the lead. Kyle Busch takes it on the bottom.
Now look at that mess. I told you, look at them. They're everywhere.
Looks just like restrictor plate racing at Daytona or Talladega.
Wow. The start-finish line, it only took 5 miles.
That's Steve Park.
Steve Park getting spun around. Oh, back up the middle wall he goes.
Wow, that was a tough blow. Hope Steve's okay.
Mike Bliss, the 16 truck. Express Motorsports, you see some fire under the hood.
That should extinguish itself, Phil. And you can see Steve is going to be okay. Both of the guys.
Yeah, both of them have the window nets down. Mike's already getting out of the truck. Steve's moving around, getting out now. That's great to see. Tough break for Eric Norris. We mentioned earlier that he makes one of his infrequent starts in the Pavestone Chevrolet, and unfortunately going to be a short one.
That was just a deal where it got crowded on Steve. One truck moved over a little bit, probably reacting to a truck to the outside of him. They bumped. He and Steve bumped and sent him spinning.
He was so excited about this opportunity, too. He's in one of Bill Davis's Toyotas, really looking for a great run. Here's another look at it. See, Steve's on the inside. They're right inside of 10 feet. They make just a little bit of contact there, and it spins him around. Unfortunately, he's not able to stop the truck before he moves back up the racetrack. Then, as you mentioned, a hard hit from the 16 of Mike Bliss.
Looks like they're going to stop the race, guys.
A lot of you see all the debris flying around the racetrack. There's another view. Look on the inside. Blue and white truck number 67 Steve just got a bit of a tap, just enough to turn his front end left towards the inside wall, and hard contact.
And he had to know that was going to hurt, Phil. He slid for a long way knowing that nothing good was going to come of it. You can see him getting on the inside of Fedewa, and Fedewa just adjusted his line just enough to mess Steve up. I mean, Tim he didn't even know Steve was there. He made a small adjustment in his line. Steve had to react to that. Boom. Gets into the side of him and wrecks.
Yeah, it wasn't a situation. Here comes the impact. You can watch slow motion.
God.
Wow, look at the 16 truck buckle. Look at the damage to the left front corner of that 67 truck of Steve's.
Violent. Thank the Lord for the safer barriers.
Pretty hard hit by the 07 of Eric Norris, too. Obviously, the 16 of Mike Bliss, the 07 of Eric Norris, had absolutely nowhere to go. Steve Park came along and slid back up the racetrack right in front of them. Steve had no control at that point either.
Well, let's see what Rudiman saw from his truck. This is going to be a dramatic picture of what happens. You can see Steve just up ahead there, getting sideways. David just gasses it up. Do you hear him, Phil? Shot through that hole, and good thing he did. It closed up behind him.
As soon as he got by, then he backed back off the throttle because he knew it wasn't going to be pretty.
Riding along with the Spears manufacturer, David Starr.
Stay high, outside.
Oh, stay high. That's a driver just listening to all the information that's available to him, but keeping his eyeballs open and not overreacting and saying, okay, high might be good right now, but by the time I get there, I think I'll go low. He slowed down. That was the key to his success in getting through that crash.
We saw there was fluid up on the top side of the track. The 2 trucks stopped about in the middle, and so the safety crews needed to get out and clean everything up for the red flag conditions in Atlanta. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Red flag out. The EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200. Michael,
let's look at this.
Closer look at this.
Yeah, check the anatomy of this crash out, Rick. This happened. We're freezing it right here. You can see the trucks coming down the front straightaway. Right there is Jack Sprague. He is on the outside of Tim Fedewa, who is there. As they go forward to about the start-finish line, watch Sprague. Freeze it right there. See Sprague starting to make a move to the inside of the racetrack. When he moves over toward Tim Fedewa, continue roll the tape. Stop it. Now remember, these guys are running 190 miles an hour. Right there at that point, Fedewa felt Sprague on his right rear corner, and he made an adjustment. He said, I got to get over to the left. Someone's out there.
I'm just going to give him a little bit more room.
There's no intent from Fedewa here to cut Park off, nor does Steve know anything's coming. But look, stop it. Look how much room is between these 2 trucks and what happens to Steve. When Fedewa moves over, Park doesn't know that's happening. He doesn't know that Sprague has moved over. That happened at the start-finish line. That was just how long it took him to react and how perfect of a storm that had to be in order for this accident to happen. And watch the impact. Golly, what a crash. Watch this impact, Phil.
You saw the front brakes on the 16 truck of Mike Bliss locked up because he knew that Steve was coming across the racetrack, but all he could do was hit the brakes. There was no way to avoid that. He couldn't slow down anymore to avoid Steve.
The pole was set today by Mike Skinner at just over 182 miles an hour. That's how fast they're going around this 1.5 miles. Cleanup continues in turn 1 and 2.
One of the very first things the teams do when they get to the garage area is to level their 4 scale pads. Now you'll notice I have a measuring device over here, and on this scale pad I have Craftsman's new laser track level. Now you'll notice there's one bubble to level this from side to side and another bubble to go end for end. And as I make these adjustments, it does make a difference. You want the bubbles to be perfectly level. Then I can reference the other 3 scale pads to make sure we're ready to go to work. This one's really nice because it's actually self-leveling. I don't even have to look at the bubbles. Now you'll notice I've got a horizontal line right now. I can also go vertical or I can go crosshairs. And this makes it really nice if you're putting up a shelf or hanging pictures.
In celebration of the 10th anniversary of the Truck Series, we present the toughest NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series moments made possible by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR. In a series that was formed on the short tracks, moment 4 is the first ever race at Daytona Superspeedway back in 2000. Drivers names such as Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch involved in this first ever race. Also involved in this race was Jeff Bodine. Take a look at this accident that took place in the middle of this race. Jeff Bodine obviously went on to continue racing, but it was Mike Wallace who continued on to the checkered flag in the first ever race in Daytona. Cleanup continues in turn 1 and 2. Okay. Back to racing in Atlanta. So lap 5 completed, lap 6 underway. Kyle Busch in front of Ted Musgrave.
Brennan with the 38. Toyota looks to the inside of Dennis Setzer, not quite able to make the move this time. It's a lot calmer, it seems like, right now with a single file restart.
A lot, because just that much less air bundled up, and these trucks suck up so well to each other. Look at Musgrave driving right on the back of the 15. That's because they make big holes in the airfield, knock a huge hole in the air. The trucks behind can drive right through.
And Musgrave would love to get up front because he would love to get 5 bonus points out of the way right now. He wanted to lead that first lap. Kyle Busch didn't allow him to do that. He would love to get up there, pass him, and get those 5 points.
Little side-by-side behind the front 6. Battle for 7th position.
That upper groove is going to be the deal, Phil, as these trucks start to put some laps on the tires. You can see the leaders, all 4 or 5 trucks in the front there stuck to the bottom. Back in 7th, we got a cat starting to look on the outside.
Bobby Labonte, the 47 truck, knows his way around this racetrack.
And I'm seeing trucks really starting to struggle 4 or 5 laps into this race under the green flag, sticking to the bottom of the road. So this will be big what Bobby's doing here.
There goes Bobby Labonte on the outside of teammate Dennis Setzer. That's the 46 and 47 running nose to tail now as they go down the backstretch.
That might show Dennis Setzer, if Bobby's able to drive by him on the outside, it may show Dennis Setzer that, hey, that outside groove is there. Let me get up there behind Bobby Labonte and see if I can make some time up.
To the side he goes, and Bobby Labonte will take the position away from Dennis Setzer. So Bobby Labonte moving forward.
What if we run about 5 green flag laps and all of a sudden the outside groove is already working? Good battle for second. Mike Skinner, our pole sitter on the inside of Ted Musgrave.
Smoke coming out of the 17 Intian Bearings Toyota. And that will bring out our second caution of the day. We have yet to get to lap 10 in Atlanta. And problems with this Toyota.
What a horrible break for David Rudum. He had such a good run at Martinsville, had a good truck at Martinsville. He lost a gear there, and looks like, is it running, you think, Michael?
I'm trying to listen, Phil, and see if the engine is running. Maybe a line broke on the NTN Bearings Tundra, or perhaps the thing did break an engine. You don't ever hardly see that, especially this early in an event. Let's see if we can. It looks like that reminds you of maybe an oil line that has broken, but it's possible it blew up.
Oil getting on the header. Oil was coming out on the left side of that truck.
Going to ride along with Jimmy Spencer. He's going to get a windshield full of smoke here in just a minute. You see Jimmy jump on the throttle just as soon as that happens.
Wise move by Jimmy. You can see the experience there. He just chilled. He saw what was happening, rolled up to the top of the racetrack, and slowed down.
A lot of times when an engine blows or something happens, fluid comes out, we'll see it on these cameras, but we don't see any fluid getting on that camera of Jimmy Spencer.
Well, they're pushing it back like whatever went wrong is the end of David's day. He's unbuckling his Hans device, and we could buzz him up and see if he knows what happened to it.
Yeah, before he gets his radio, I'm sure our pit reporters will be down there and get the full story from David Ruderman. What a tough break. This is such a good racetrack for him. He sat on the pole here last year, finished third as a rookie very early in the season last year.
And they had a very good truck in practice. Those guys were very optimistic about today. They ran a 70 qualifying. He ran 70 in race trim.
Inside of 10 laps at Atlanta, and already 4 trucks have left the racing surface.
Jeez, that's a big truck.
What's with you and these pancakes? Hey, bro.
Ladies?
Joan Rivers.
I think you know why I'm here, Julia.
And Anne Heche.
No, I don't want you to look different. It's the only way we can be safe.
In an all-new Nip Tuck, Tuesday at 10, only on FX.
Back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel. Let's go down to pit road and Wendy Venerini.
This is the worst thing David Ruderman want to see, especially on this mile-and-a-half track that he's so good at. What happened? Are you done?
Yeah, you know, something broke in the motor there, and I can't say anything negative about it. I mean, we've been doing this 2 years, and this is only the second one I broke. So they give us great horsepower all the time, and when we go to Texas, I know we'll have a good one. It's just disappointing for NT bearings, and I mean, these mechanical failures have just taken us way out of contention, and pretty disappointing.
David Ruderman said it best. Rick?
Restart on lap 13. Kyle Busch in front of Ted Musgrave, Mike Skinner, and Bill Lester running in the top 5, as is Todd Cleaver.
Well, they ran 3 or 4 laps under green and went from the bottom to the top. Still, the leaders are from the same tires they started the race on. See how long it takes them to fan out this time, Rick.
So, Phil, you and I talked to Bobby Labonte before this race, and Bobby mentioned that this is a racetrack where the first 10 laps you're going to run about as hard as you can, and then you start to lose the tires, and then you've got to really conserve the tires and run maybe a Mike Skinner type of race where you don't go so hard around the track.
Well, jury's still out whether Mike Skinner's going to take it easy or not.
We haven't
seen that.
No, we can't get with you on that right now, Rick. Time will tell if that's going to be a possibility. This is the guy making the move, and he's doing it on the top of the racetrack. And do you remember a year ago how he spun because he's up on the top of the racetrack, but then he got back to the top and drove to the front, and now he's picking right up where he left off in the spring.
It's a very, very fast Toyota, number 22, Bill Lester on the inside. Bobby drives right by him on the outside. He is the first driver of the trucks running up front to get up to the top of the racetrack and make some ground up.
Now Todd Cleaver just behind the 22 of Bill Lester, and that is a battle for the 6th position, 5th and 6th position.
3 wide battler right there for just a moment. Brendan Witt, the 38, was on the inside. There's Todd Bodine, the 30 truck. Looks like Dennis Setzer on the outside, the 46 Chevy Silverado, side by side with the 30 of Todd Bodine.
As these tires go off, Phil, you want to be side by side less and less. You'll see 2 wide because you have to, and you'll see very little 3 wide unless somebody gets sideways or someone messes up, because there's just not enough grip to put your truck in that position like we saw at the start of the race.
You put those 4 tires on a pretty abrasive racetrack like this, and you're going to see some guys get awfully brave there. Here goes Mike Skinner, who's taking it easy, trying to take second on Ted Musgrave.
And I guarantee you he's pleading his case to his crew. Now listen, guys, I'm running 80%. I'm really taking it easy. I just needed to get me some fresh air into my grill. That's how he justified this pass. Let's see what he says when he gets to the leader.
But Michael, he could be, if he is saying something like that, he could be telling the truth, because Mike Skinner in practice was amazing compared to the rest of this field. He was running so much better than the rest of this field. He may be running 80% and still passing most of them.
Well, if he's running 80% and he takes the lead, then his crew would probably rather him be running 75 and taking care of those tires, at least until the first caution, you know, just till they get to then. They could then look over their tires and say, okay, Mike, you can crank it up a few more percentage points, but you got to get to that first pit stop. That's why it would be a green flag stop. We see a lot of green flag racing here at Atlanta.
Michael, did you see that 04 Bailey's Dodge right up there on the top of the racetrack? Remember, he pitted after the red flag, and he's already well back into the top 20, almost into the top 10. He's 12th position right now.
Well, almost his ears. He is in the top 10 now. Drives around 2 of them on the outside.
How's he doing, Wendy?
Bobby Hamilton did come in, as we documented on that last 3, and put on stickers. That's all Danny Rollins has on pit wall is sticker tires for Bobby Hamilton. The tires look good. They did not flat spot him, but they did fix the balance on that car, on that truck, because he did run over something during that caution. So they fixed the balance, and they're going to glue up that set of tires and use them later in the race.
There's a battle for the lead.
The top spot, Mike Skinner, who supposedly was going to take it easy early on in this race, is now challenging Kyle Busch for the lead.
Now, Michael, when you talked to Mike Skinner, did you not say, liar, liar, pants on fire?
That's exactly what I said, and then he told me to call him up and tell him to slow down if I think he's going so fast. So if I see much more, Phil, I'm going to be on the radio saying, Mike, we had a deal.
Lead a lap, and then I'll let him go.
Oh, did you hear that? Strategy.
Yeah, he wants to lead a lap and then let him go. There's Jimmy Spencer right there. He made an unscheduled pit stop a couple moments ago. Put on some fresh tires. We'll find out here momentarily exactly what happened.
Ray, what's going on with Mike Skinner?
Well, guys, the problem is his Toyota gets a little aero tight when he tucks up right on the bumper there of the number 15, and he said that right from the start here. It's real hard for him to get to the bottom of the racetrack when he's tucked up in tight there, so he's hoping that Kyle Busch makes some sort of a mistake there so that he can get some line. But you notice now Skinner normally drops back off about 3 truck lengths so that he's got a good handle. Wendy?
Jimmy Spencer called in to Dan Gloss, his crew chief, thinking he had a flat tire. Dan Gloss is checking out all 4 tires right now. He cannot find anything wrong at this point. We'll update you if they do find out they had a flat tire.
You know, Michael and Rick, the beauty about this racetrack is that Mike Skinner gets aero tight when he's right behind Kyle Busch. Well, he doesn't have to go right behind Kyle Busch because he's got about 60 feet here at his disposal that he can drive. If Kyle Busch stays on the bottom of the racetrack, Mike Skinner can go to the middle. He can go to the top or vice versa. So this is the kind of racetrack you don't have to do what the other guy does.
But we've seen Skinner every visit to Atlanta be the best truck dead on the bottom of the racetrack. We hadn't seen him make all these big runs up top like we watched Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Labonte do. He likes the bottom of the racetrack.
You know, he's been very good before in the Cup Series. We drove that 31 as you see him take the lead over the 15 of Kyle Busch. That 31 Richard Childress car one time, he had an awfully good chance to win the race. Unfortunately, did not quite get it done, but he's always run extremely well. He's won a Busch race here back in 1999.
This is going to be the telltale. He said he's just going to get him some points, get him 5 points, and let him go.
We'll see if that takes place. Todd Bodine in that number 30 and the 47 of Bobby Labonte battling for the 4th position. Todd Bodine started 13th, has moved up and battled into 4th since our lap 13 restart.
We're getting a report that Jimmy Spencer's crew were not able to find any flat tires, so Jimmy obviously felt something. Unfortunately, was not a flat tire. It's going to really put him at a big deficit. He's now being shown 1 lap down.
And he danger of going 2 laps down. Then that's the real death sentence, Phil, because that takes the free pass out of the question for a while.
That clean air must be pretty good for Mike Skinner because he hasn't looked as though he's going to relinquish the top spot to Kyle Busch. Welcome back to the EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200 on Speed Channel. Mike Skinner continues to hold the top spot, has not relinquished that back to Kyle Busch as he said he was going to. He just wanted to get out in front and lead a lap, and then he said he was going to give it back. He obviously changed his mind.
It feels so good, Rick. Golly, it feels good to be in front of a race. We were running over there at Charlotte, and tire problems galore, and we were out in front. I thought, I don't care. Let it flow. I got to lead. Race car drivers want to be first.
There's a battle for 5th. That's Bobby Labonte and Todd Cleaver. Cleaver on the inside as they go across the start-finish line. It's Todd Cleaver getting the nod as far as moving ahead. That was 7/1000th of a second that separated those two. He's been close to a tighter finish than that. Wendy?
Bobby Labonte is reporting that he's been tight in the center and loose on exit. He was going to ride on the high side for a while. He's trying different grooves on the track to see what happens. We should see these trucks coming down pit road shortly, though. Lap 35, if we stay green, is what I've been told by most teams. Ray?
Hey, Wendy, you see Todd Cleaver's Rotella T shell truck there. This is a brand new chassis, and they tested this truck, but it's the first time that they've run it. It's chassis number 44, and Cleaver said he really felt like it was a good truck on the bottom, and you see that's where he's been running. Labonte to the high side, but that 50 is able to hold right down to the bottom line, and that's the quick way around Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Ray, you're exactly right. I talked to Mike Bean, crew chief for Todd Cleaver, before the race, and he said if we had our other truck that we're going to run at Texas next week, I would know exactly what I needed to do to that thing, because we know it like the back of our hand. We're really not sure what exactly to do to this truck, because it's brand new, different for us, but we're going to make some changes. We're going to try to do what we can do, and obviously they have a pretty good piece right now. We saw Kyle Busch, though, take the lead back from Mike Skinner.
I guarantee you when we call Skinner to yell at him about leading the race, he's going to say, Mike, I'm taking it easy.
I promise.
I am. You can see what Todd Cleaver's doing here, Phil, is difficult. He's driving around a fast truck on the inside of the racetrack. Bobby Labonte's running high, keeping his momentum up. Todd's truck is good enough where he can make that ground on the bottom. You don't see that very often here at Atlanta.
Bobby's going to continue to run the high side. As you see Todd Cleaver, the 50 truck on the inside. See where they land when they come off the corner here.
Todd Cleaver putting a little distance between himself now and Bobby Labonte.
You know, Wendy reported that these drivers were talking about pitting around lap number 35. You see the battle for the lead again. Mike Skinner looks to the inside, but boy, lap 35 laps is awfully early here to be pitting. You could probably go 55, 60 laps on fuel. It would really surprise me to see them pit this early.
I can't see it happening, Phil, and I'm going out on a limb here, but that's too soon. You know, guys are going to say, you know, if I pit, somebody will stay out and get me a lap down. I got to go further than that, and it's going to be a tough call. But what I would think is if I've got a truck balance like these leaders do, I'm thinking maybe I'm not using my tires that hard, and I've got the confidence just to ride along until somebody else has a tire problem. That's what you're thinking. You know, that's your hope, is somebody has a tire problem before you do.
And so you're touching a little bit on pit strategy now, Michael? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Pit strategy. I know all about what's going to happen. I got the pit windows down. I know what they're going to do on their tires. What's Ray think about my strategy?
Let's find out, Ray.
Well, Michael, I agree with you that it is too early here, but the problem is some of these teams saw cords on their right front tire after about 42, 43 laps like that, so they do get a little cautious. I agree with Phil that the fuel window would go much longer, but you just don't want to take a chance. We've seen Skinner and other guys blowing right front tires and into the fence ending your day. Terry Cook did it at Kentucky, so we know that they're going to be concerned about that right front, so I do expect them to pit in the mid-40s.
Mike Skinner taking the top spot, back away from Kyle Busch, back out in front, and obviously he's waiting for a call from you, Michael.
Well, he would tell me that he's taking it easy, just like I bet he's telling his team on pit road.
Now, these trucks have slowed down about a second and a half to 2 seconds just about throughout the field there. So that's obviously how much give up these tires have and fall off. So I know the drivers were screaming right now. They would love to have new tires, but they don't want to take that chance like we talk about to get a lap or a lap and a half down and then the caution come out and be so many trucks on the lead lap.
This cat here in this 50 truck, he's running the bottom, Phil, and he's still running the bottom, and he's one of the fastest trucks out there. I like what I'm seeing out of him for today. You get a truck to work perfect on the bottom, it's going to outrun the one running around the top. There's no doubt about it. It's shorter.
But Michael, is he wearing his tires out more? Will he be in a situation where that truck's going to fall away faster than, say, Todd Bodine, who's running the high side of the track?
No, they've already fallen off as far as they're going to fall. What would be a question is whether he's wearing his tires more by taking a shorter route around the track. My answer to that, Phil, would be that the groove on the bottom is probably slicker than the groove up top. So your tires aren't chewing the ground as hard. You go up top to find fresh pavement. That's harder on your tires. So I think he's the truck right now. We got to look at the guy that they're going to have to deal with before this race is over.
That was for 4th and 5th. This is 6th and 7th right here. That is the 23 of Johnny Benson making his way around the 47 of Bobby Labonte. And so Johnny Benson moving toward the front, now in 6th position.
Johnny had a good truck in practice. He qualified in the 14th position. He's been a little bit quiet so far, but he's making his move now towards the front. He's already up to the 6th spot.
We've had 14 different winners so far this season. The two that are up front that have not won as of yet, Todd Cleaver in the number 50 and the 23 of Johnny Benson. Wendy?
What's amazing about Johnny Benson, he's finished second 4 times in his career, which ties a record with Ernie Irvin in the Truck Series. Now, Johnny and his crew did bring a brand new chassis here, number 73, and they did test it. Johnny said he feels good about his truck. He's been able to run just about any place he wants it.
That's another strong truck you see there, Phil. The 99 of Ricky Craven. You talked about momentum. He won last week in Martinsville, and he is driven into the top 10 and is really fast right now. You knew Ricky Craven would be up around the top. He loves running the high line.
I talked to Ricky right after qualifying. He said that, you know, it felt so good at Martinsville last week. He said, well, I needed it so much. Obviously, it's no secret he's not going to be back with Roush Racing next year, so he's obviously auditioning for a job. And he said the phone really rang this week, so that's great to see. Wendy, what's going on with the 99?
The 99 did not test here, so they decided to use the 50 setup from the spring race. And according to John Quinn, the crew chief, he said it's worked out just good. So they did borrow the 50 notes from the spring on Ricky Craven's truck today.
Great side-by-side battle right there. Todd Cleaver, the 50 truck on the inside, going for third over Ted Musgrave.
And I like what Todd's doing. He's using the bottom to pass, but he's not crowding back up in line. He's waiting until he's got the guys well cleared and then taking the top of the racetrack. So this is not only an exercise in showing us a fast truck, but it's also a cat that's being patient, making sure he doesn't overrun what he's got.
We saw that with Bobby Labonte when he was side-by-side with Bobby. He made absolutely sure that he was completely clear of Bobby before he pulled back up in line. As we see Johnny Benson, the 23 Toyota, also moved by the one of Ted Musgrave. Looks like Musgrave's struggling right now.
Yeah, but these are fast trucks. They've been the fastest trucks throughout this whole mid portion of this first run. They've really come to life and driven around some good guys.
Our points leader in Mopar Dodge, #1 there, has dropped back to 5th position. Wendy, what's going on?
He is getting a little bit tight, but the biggest problem on Ted Musgrave's truck is that he has a chattering right front tire. He feels a pretty good vibration in that truck. They're just waiting to see what all the other crews are going to do on pit road before they
goes. It blew out, Wendy.
The right front tire just gave way for Ted Musgrave, and so problems with that truck, and that means the caution will come out.
Or when Wendy said that he felt a vibration, I was going to say, Michael, it's time to pit now. Don't wait. Come in the pits now, and bam, the tire blew before you could get in.
Now that looks pretty bad, Phil. I'm wondering, with the safer barrier and the fact that he had slowed down quite a bit, if he can recover from this. Watch him.
He's obviously knows something's wrong. He's got that vibration. Then the tire goes. He makes, again, without a softer wall, that would have been hard contact, but he may be able to patch that truck up, see if his toe's not too far out. Another look at it right here as you see Jack Sprague, the 60 truck, go underneath him. Pretty significant contact, though, Michael, even though it's a softer wall.
And we heard Gene Need, his crew chief, say, all right, guys, survey the damage. They are running for a championship. They are the points leader, 54 points over Dennis Setzer. They've got to get this truck back out onto the track for points purposes today.
They're not going to like what they see when they survey the damage. What I'm looking at, Phil, look at this left rear tire right here. It's hanging out the left side of the truck. That means the track bar, panhard bar in the back has bent. The rear end is shifted over.
Maybe some trailing arm damage. You see the right front tire now is doing some significant damage to the bodywork, as they often do.
But we've seen these trucks get scarred up pretty good, and I remember
it's a high-speed racetrack, though, to have that much damage and be able to run at 190 miles an hour entering these corners, too, Michael.
And at the start of the show, we talked about bump drafting and how this is similar to a Talladega or a Daytona. So aero is very important here at Atlanta.
Well, I'm thinking about minimizing the loss. You know, what can that team do right now to get as many points as they can today? They're 40, 50 points ahead in the points. They just need to survive this race. If that had been a concrete wall instead of the safer barrier, he'd be in the garage area right now fixing brake rotors and A-arms. But maybe that safer barrier and the fact that he has slowed down so much will allow them to persevere today.
One of his crew members went back, and what you had talked about on that rear end was checking out the right rear. It looked almost as though some of the body was getting very close to that right rear. He was probably trying to pull some of that away from the tire. Out in front of this field, it's Mike Skinner, who has taken over the top spot from Kyle Busch. Let's go down to pit road and Wendy.
Kyle Busch already has 2 wins in the Truck Series this season as he comes to a stop. 4 tires, no adjustments on Kyle Busch's truck. They are putting on 1 lap scuffs on his truck. Ray?
Wendy, it'll just be air pressure adjustment for Mike Skinner and his Toyota Tundra. You see him on the top of the screen. Now Todd Cleaver brings his Ford in on the bottom of the screen, and they are going to add 2 rounds of wedge on the right side. So they go down there for the wedge. This will be a 4-tire stop for these guys. They continue to go to work. You see that Skinner already has his work complete. He's on his way down pit road. It'll be a battle. Skinner gets off pit road first, then it's the 15. Cleaver with a little bit of a hang up. He'll roll off pit road about 7.
Tough pit stop for Todd Cleaver, losing positions. Came in 3rd position.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So there's David Starr. Watch the 99 as he tries to leave.
It's a tire.
Pits.
It's a tire, and also gets one of the crew members pinched between the tire and the truck on the Spears manufacturing team. We'll shake it all out when we come back.
That's why I said, ooh.
So I always put all my blood and sweat on the line. 'Cause I do what I feel. If you don't think I will, say I won't.
Drama continues in Atlanta. On lap 2, the big wreck with Steve Park and the 16 of Mike Bliss. And then we see how the 17 of David Rudeman is out of the race already. Problems with our points leader, Ted Musgrave. And out front of this one, it's Mike Skinner looking for a win in Atlanta. He's led all 3 races here, but has never come home with the trophy.
Kyle Busch came out in 2nd position off this pit stop here.
You can see the 2 blue and white trucks on the bottom. That's the battle for the free pass. Spencer needs to get around Lynch in order to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap.
Kyle Busch peeks to the inside of our leader, Mike Skinner. Remember, these guys feel really good right now. They all have new tires on. Check this out now. Points as of now. Dennis Setzer would be on top by 1 point over Ted Musgrave. 3 wide.
Why not do a little 3 wide right here?
Johnny Benson, Kyle Busch racing for the top spot.
Johnny actually leads that lap. How about that? Good job, Johnny.
Johnny's made the cup race for tomorrow too, so doing double duty this weekend.
Mike Skinner's another driver that's going to run the cup race tomorrow. Bobby Hamilton, that's also in this race, will run the cup race. Obviously, Bobby Labonte, Kyle Busch are cup regulars. They will also be in the race.
You mentioned Bobby Hamilton. What a busy day for Bobby Hamilton. He just got done with the IROC race. Right before the start of this race, had to jump out of his damaged IROC car and get into a truck.
But I like the fact that he was on the same racetrack during the same weather conditions that these trucks are in right now. That's why Bobby Hamilton, I think, may be a force to be reckoned with before this race is over.
Kyle Busch grabs the lead away from Johnny Benson.
They continued side by side. Johnny Benson drops back to 2nd now with Todd Bodine right on his bumper.
There's Bobby Labonte on the outside, makes his way around Mike Skinner.
What a great battle at the front of this pack. Golly, they're all over each other.
Remember, that's just about how this race looked earlier this year. Inside of 5 laps to go, every lap, we never knew who was going to be leading. As it got down to the finish, it looked like Bobby Labonte had the race won, and Ryan Hornaday beats him by 0.008 of a second.
And folks, this is a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, even though the names up front are Kurt Busch, Johnny Benson, Todd Bodine, Bobby Labonte, and Mike Skinner.
Well, it's actually Kyle Busch up front.
That's true.
Kurt's in the crowd. You're watching. He is watching this race, though. Yeah, that's right.
The one is amazing to me. He hit that wall hard, Phil, and yet he's being able to pass people. He's not passing many, but he's not crashed. He's not giving up. Wendy, what are they saying in the pit?
This is definitely a championship contending team down here on pit road. When they saw the damage to the one, they went right to work. They were patient about everything they did, and Gene did an excellent job of keeping Ted Musgrave on the lead lap. Now he's all the way back in 28th, but the good news is he is on the lead lap. He does have extensive damage to the right side of the truck. They have fixed the toe temporarily, but Ted Musgrave said whatever changes you did, do more of it. And he was referring to the toe of the truck, which is still knocked out. So Gene Need is just hoping for a quick caution.
Well, Phil, it'll become really important as they run 8, 10, 12 laps for them to get another caution and get back to work on that truck. He is using his tires up more now than ever. The toe's knocked off. He doesn't have his right front fender. That thing will go away in a hurry if it's not right. We'll find out real quickly what kind of shape they're going to be in.
Yeah, as Wendy mentioned, and you mentioned, he would love to get a caution anytime from now, you know, as soon as he can get one, so they can get back in, work more on that truck. We've seen Gene Need and his crew do miracles for that truck. We've seen him move the rear end housing around and come back and win the race in California. They know how to fix that truck. They've assessed the damage. They've made what repairs they could make under that previous caution flag. Now they need another.
Sure do appreciate what I'm seeing out of my buddy Mike Skinner. He knows his truck's fast, but yet he's being patient. He knows this race is far from over. He saw tire problems out of another truck. He's heard from his crew what his tires look like. He's taken all that information and tried to figure out the best way to go about winning this race.
And we throw out the word tire problems as a topic. Now, remember, NASCAR mandated 47 pounds of air pressure in the right front, and we saw our points leader blow the right front tire.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's an air pressure issue. There's obviously things he can run over and get a slow leak, and then it's going to blow out eventually. When a tire runs around with a slow leak, he's going to get a vibration, as Ted Musgrave reported, and then it could blow out. So there's nothing to say that it was an air pressure situation that caused that tire to fail as it did.
Battle for 5th and 6th. Jack Sprague just in front of Mike Skinner. Kyle Busch checking out on Johnny Benson at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch now in 2nd, just behind Todd Bodine, but he actually backed off to give Todd Bodine that position because he had a problem. Let's take a look.
Check this out. Kyle was comfortably leading. You hear his team talk about temperature on the engine going up. Right there. You see that? There's trash on his grill. Now watch it suck off. Gone. Temperature problem solved. He came on the radio and said, my temperature's hot. He had a 8 car length, truck length lead. The crew chief, Richie Waters, said, slow down. Let the 30 or the 23 suck it off of you. And I'll be darned if it didn't work.
Those crew chiefs are kind of smart, aren't they, Michael?
They are very smart. You can really appreciate it when you get a good one. Somebody that can tell you something like that little bit of information, and then you go do it and it works, then you become like a dog. You say, well, what else? What do you want me to do now? I'll do it. I don't care.
How do you want me to get by that 30 truck again?
Look at Ted Musgrave on the inside. That's Scott Lynch just in front of him in the Orleans number 62 Dodge.
I'll tell you, he's running with some great trucks. There's Ron Hornaday, who won this race in March. You've got Bernie Lamar and Kevin Harvick's other truck. There's Regan Smith, the 06. There's Bill Lester behind Ted Musgrave. I'm telling you, Ted Musgrave's going to the front.
And I can't believe, you know, they talk about tough trucks. That's a tough truck. It ran into the wall hard. And from what I've known in the history of racing, he was in the garage area fixing that thing. But because of the safer barrier and because he got it slowed down a little bit, as we go to battle for the lead, look at him sideways up in that thing.
He's fighting that steering wheel.
We've seen that before. The truck on the inside loses some air, gets a little bit loose. Kyle Busch has to back off of it. Now look at the 47. About to go by the 15 of Kyle Busch, and so Bobby Labonte moves to 2nd just behind Todd Bodine.
See, Kyle drove in the bottom of the racetrack that time in that corner, was not able to keep it down to slid right up in front of the 23 of Johnny Benson. That slowed Johnny down enough to allow the 60 Toyota of Jack Sprague to get beside him.
These guys are all over it.
So Todd Bodine takes over the top spot from Kyle Busch. When Kyle Busch has problems, has to back off because he has debris on the front grille, and we see Ted Musgrave back in front in the point standings of Dennis Setzer by 14. Again, that debris causing Kyle Busch to give up the top spot. Ray?
Hey, Rick, I think it was interesting that you guys noticed that the crew chief had seen that, but you have to be able to see it in order to make that call. Remember, in the spring here, Todd Cleaver actually got a clear piece of tear off the windshield on the front of his truck, and he overheated the engine, and he blew up the engine, didn't even know it was there. So whenever it's something you can visually see, that helps a lot.
And it looked like a piece of a tear-off that was on the front of that truck of Kyle Busch's as well.
Look at those guys battling for the lead. Todd drove up and cut Bobby off, so Bobby thinks he's going to heat up that rear bumper a little bit as they go down the back straightaway. Bobby's running the high line. Todd's kind of tucked in the middle.
There's Bobby Labonte looking on the high side of Todd Bodine as they come out of turn 4.
Jack Sprague looking up underneath Kyle Busch with Johnny lurking. Brandon Witt, another strong run, and there's that Ricky Craven dude.
There's Jack Sprague, the 60 truck right there, the silver and black number 60 Toyota. Jack Sprague, he is so good in this truck series, so good at every racetrack, and this has probably, throughout his career, been his nemesis. He's only had one top 10 finish at this racetrack in all the divisions that he's raced, Cup, Busch, and trucks, and that was an 8th earlier this year in the number 16 truck. He's got a great run going this time, though.
This front is just tightening up. They're squeezing together, Phil, from Todd back to Craven in 7th. It's less than 2 seconds.
Well, again, we mentioned earlier about Ted Musgrave blowing the right front tire. They were mandated. They had to have 47 pounds on the right front. NASCAR mandated that. Now, Wendy, has there been any crew chiefs making any calls as far as if that wear is a little bit extensive since that first break?
The only truck that looked like they were having bad tire wear, the right front cords were showing, was our leader, Todd Bodine. He was the only truck on pit road that had issues with their tires. I checked in with the remainder of the trucks running up front. The rest of them were pretty neutral and had no issues except Todd Bodine.
Now, is that why Todd Bodine is running on the high side of the track now?
He's just trying to drive that truck to keep it in the lead. You know, Todd, he's going to go like heck, and he's just trying to keep it in the front. He's getting heated up really big time by Bobby Labonte. Labonte to the bottom.
Bobby's been on the top of the racetrack this entire race, and he's going to make the pass for the lead on the bottom.
Bobby Labonte takes over the top spot, and we see up in the left-hand corner of the screen the 75 of David Starr. Now, on that last break, we talked about how Ricky Craven was coming out of his pit stall, and one of his crew members actually got a little bit hurt as he was trying to avoid the 99 of Ricky Craven. Let's look at that.
The 75 of David Starr is in the pits right in front of the 99 of Ricky Craven. You see Ricky leaving. There was a tire sitting there, and the tire was forced up underneath the 75 truck, and it took the catch can man's leg with him. You see him right there trying to dragging his leg. He's obviously treating it a little bit gingerly. Ray, what's going on down there, bud?
Well, Phil, just wanted to let you know that is Carl Hand, that is the catch can man on this Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet, and he has been taken to the infield care center. It appears that he may have his right ankle, so what they're going to do is have George Stone come over here. Now, he is a member of the 16 truck, and of course they got out of the race earlier today because Mike Bliss got in that wreck. So George Stone will come over and fill in for him, and it looks like Carl Hand will not be back for the rest of today's race.
So David Starr's crew member suffering a little bit of an injury as far as working on the pits today. Battle for second. Todd Bodine just in front of Jack Sprague. The 30 and the 60 going at it now.
So unusual to talk about Jack Sprague being in anything other than a Chevrolet. 200 and some career starts in the Truck Series, 3 championships, a bunch of wins, and they've all been in Chevrolet. Last week at Martinsville was his first time ever in anything but a Chevrolet, his first race in Jeff Weiler's Toyota, and he's got a great run going here.
Down on the bottom of the track, we've talked about the preferred line, the shortest distance, obviously hugging that white line, and that's the line that the 60 of Jack Sprague has chosen to take.
Looks like he's going to drive that thing to the front, Phil. He's been making some good moves around Johnny there. Todd's up back on the back of Bobby.
It's almost like Todd backed off a little bit, cooled his tires a little bit to make another run at Bobby Labonte. We saw Bobby drive by Todd on the bottom of the racetrack. Now Todd's going to return the favor, try to do the same thing.
We're getting on up there to about the same amount of green flag laps, Phil, that we had on these trucks when Musgrave blew that tire. So now these teams on pit road, their minds are churning. They're saying, what do we do? This is about how many laps Ted blew his tire. They know how their tires look. We could see pit stops in the next 5 to 10 laps.
I'm sure these crew chiefs are alerting their drivers, hey, let us know if you feel the slightest vibration. Whoa, a little bit tight right there between the 30 of Todd Bodine, the 60 of Jack Sprague. Jack takes over the second spot, right behind Bobby Labonte.
That's the top 4. That time by, they were separated by less than 0.3 of a second. And again, the top 4 trucks separated by that amount of distance.
Look at Jack Sprague wants that lead. He wants it so bad. He wants to win more races this year. He felt like when he got with his team and Tony Furr, the crew chief, who he has a relationship with, he says, I think we can win races before the end of the year.
Well, and we've seen him drive straight to the front. Jack always has speed. He's always fast. Been some problems this year getting to the finish, but today he's definitely looks like he's got the truck to beat at this point.
Jack Sprague on the bottom of the track, Bobby Labonte on the high side. That's a battle for the top spot as they go down the backstretch.
They can't make up their mind. One of them likes the low line, one of them likes the high line, and they come out side by side, and there it goes. Look at that run on Jack.
Good run through the center of the corner. Let's see if he can keep that momentum. If he pulls up in front of Bobby, he does. He gets the lead.
Takes the pass, and so Jack Sprague becomes the 7th different truck to lead this race.
Will he be able to drive off from them, Phil? We've seen guys get to the front, and that changes their truck a little bit, and the guys running second, third, and fourth close up on them. Be interesting to see if Jack can get that thing to the front and leave it there. Here's a cat that had some trouble in pit road, the 50 of Todd Cleaver. He's making his way back to the front. He had the fastest lap of any truck on the track last time by. He just picked off Kyle Busch and drove up to the 6th spot.
Yeah, Ricky Craven, meanwhile, his teammate has taken over the 5th position.
This is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Wow.
Bobby Labonte, Todd Bodine, and Johnny Benson. There goes JB on the inside. He'll take over 2nd.
One of these guys is going to try the bottom. If 2 of them go to the top, the other one's going to the bottom.
And in the meantime, you don't see the 60 truck of Jack Sprague in that shot. He is driven away in a hurry.
Now is he driving a little too aggressive right now, because we talked about tire wear maybe going away about this time?
He might very well be, and we've seen that out of Jack before. He likes to go.
I'm telling you, there you see the big lead right there. There's Jack Sprague. I think if I was Jack Sprague, I would back off just to keep those guys behind me.
Yeah, he's outrun a half a second that lap. That's not necessary right now, Phil.
We're going to see green flag pit stops if it stays this way. We'll be back for more. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by Chevy. The new Chevrolet is an American revolution. By Aqua Velva. Aqua Velva keeps your face toned and fit. There's something about an Aqua Velva man. And by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR.
I got to thinking last week that I had the wrong speech, the wrong saying for Aqua Velva. There's something about an Aqua Velva man. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
Jack Sprague has put almost a half a second between himself and Todd Bodine, but now Todd Bodine begins to reel him in.
Todd has closed it up. Jack actually opened up a little over a second lead. Now, right now, it's down less than 3/10 of a second. There you can see that for about 3 truck lengths right there. Todd Bodine making a move on the Jack Sprague.
Todd Bodine last found victory lane at Las Vegas, which was another 1.5-mile track.
Speaking of Las Vegas, Joey Miller made his first start at Vegas in this 12 truck for DW. I'm telling you, Phil, he's learning more than his brain can process right now. Watch this line he's running. This truck looks real loose to me, and he's running right out next to the wall. That's tough for a young cat. This is a second start. That's tough for a young guy to figure out how to do. He got up to Terry Cook, has no options, no way to really get around him. Terry's running high too, so he decides he'll go a little higher. That worked out great right up to when he hit the wall.
You see him wiggle right there. Got a little bit loose. I didn't see him hit the wall right there.
I think maybe it worked out great after all. That's a great move. That shows you this kid knows what he's doing. He got himself in a position, drove around Terry Cook, and made up some ground. Watch, he's going to try to do the same thing here to the 14 of Rick Crawford. These are good trucks. This young guy's passing, showing that he's got the skill it takes to be competitive.
And as you mentioned, Michael, for a young guy like Joey Miller, who doesn't have that much experience, to run that high line, and you're entering the corner here at 180 or 85 miles an hour, and you drive it right up to the wall, it's incredible that he's able to do that this early.
Some guys don't get this for a year or two.
Or forever, maybe.
Right. It takes a little bit of a special commitment to figure out how to do that, because you know the consequences, you slip an inch and you're into the wall.
We talked about momentum at the start of the show, how Ted Musgrave had momentum. Well, somebody who has the most momentum so far as winning is Ricky Craven, and now he's moved up to 4th position. We're hearing that there might be a problem with Todd Bodine's truck. Wendy, what's going on?
A vibration on the 30 truck has been reported by Todd Bodine. Remember, we checked out his right front tires. Did have cords showing when they took them off the truck last time, so I'm sure they're a little bit nervous. Everybody has their guns, and they're getting ready, but no moves yet in the 30 pit about coming down pit road.
Wendy, tell them to pit. Pit.
Don't wait, Wendy. Don't wait. I'll tell you.
He's running right up next to the wall.
If you develop a vibration, it's probably not going to go away. It's probably there for a reason. So he does not need to take any chances with that truck right now. I think Todd Bodine needs to bring it to pit road, Michael.
These guys are playing a little bit of Russian roulette right here, Phil. They're all hoping that it's the other guy that blows a tire, and that's what's going to
do it, Mike. It's bad.
Wendy.
You just heard Todd Bodine say how bad the vibration is, but Mike Hillman Jr. is saying 10 more laps. We're going to
take it.
A little too late.
Okay, clear to come down. Come down quick. Come on down. We just got the outside wall, Mike.
They didn't learn from Ted Musgrave. They did not learn from Ted Musgrave.
Uh-oh, Skinner's on pit road.
He may just pass through right now to try to stay on the same lap.
Yeah, the leader's off turn 4, and Skinner beat the leader to the start-finish line there.
Yeah, I think if he stays on pit road and does not stop, I think he'll be okay.
Yes, and I believe he will beat the leader to the cone at the end of pit road. Yes, he will.
Yes, the fact that he beat him to the start-finish line, which runs all the way to the inside pit wall, meant I think he would be able to stay on that lead lap, and he did right back on the racetrack.
What a driver has to realize, Phil, he had run the leader down. He had caught the leader, and then all of a sudden he lost 2 seconds to the leader in 2 laps. He knows something's going wrong. Watch this tire blow out as he gets into the corner.
He reported the vibration a couple laps ago, and we heard Wendy say there's crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. said stay out 10 more laps. It wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to make it 10 more laps. He didn't make it 10 more feet.
And Todd knew it, too. He said, I can't do that. And then moments later, the right front tire goes away.
Fortunately for him, he was right up against the wall when the tire went down. Now, I think that's why he was running that outside line, because he felt that vibration. And he knows he's riding around there, as you mentioned, playing Russian roulette. The tire's going to go down.
Uh-oh, we got a problem. We got a fire on the right front. Could be some brake.
Could be some rubber. Could be some rubber
That's
there
true.
that caught on fire. And they'll probably go out as he gets up to speed here and turns that wheel around a little bit.
He needs to be cautious of speeding on pit road, doesn't he?
No, he's got to start last anyway, so he's
yeah, he probably needs to come back in to
they'll work on it.
To work on it some more, make sure the toe's straight. He didn't make that much contact, it didn't look like.
No,
it wasn't as hard as Ted Musgrave.
We saw Ted climb the wall. He's already back up to the 11th spot. Phil, I can't believe that.
Just behind Dennis Setzer. Now, how big is this pit stop with just 40 laps remaining in this race? Wendy.
Jack Sprague comes to stop. His truck has been super loose, but crew chief Tony Furr will not take another rubber out of that truck. Only an air pressure adjustment. You also see Johnny Benson is in 4 tires and a slight air pressure adjustment on his truck as well. Ray?
Well, Wendy, for the number 99 of Ricky Craven, he said this was white knuckle kind of loose. And then he asked his crew chief, what should we do? John Quinn says, I'm going to put a rubber in the left rear and tighten it up. And Ricky said, absolutely not. Do not do that. We have no chance to win if you do that. They had a hang up on the left rear, and Craven's going to lose spots on pit road.
He got that truck too close to the pit wall, Rick. They couldn't jack the truck up, and it cost him some spots.
And so, losing positions on pit road is not what Ricky Craven wanted on his final pit stop. We'll be back for the conclusion of the EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200. Tomorrow night on Speed Channel, NASCAR's most popular and NASCAR's bad boy take over Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. Nextel Cup champion Kurt Busch jumps into the hot seat as co-host, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be standing by to check. This is one show you don't want to miss. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed Channel. Wendy, we've talked a little bit about the tires. What's going on?
Well, good news for Jack Sprague. He has no cord showing on his tires. He has a good setup, and his tires look like it when they took it off the truck, but unfortunately for the 47 of Bobby Labonte, he has issues with cord showing on both right side tires. They may be running a more aggressive setup. We'll check on that, but the only one right now that I see that has problems is the 47 of Bobby Labonte.
Well, they're within the window, Rick, of less laps than they just ran. So I guarantee you, all these crew chiefs, these teams are confident that they can make it to the finish of this race on this set of tires.
But at the end of the race, they're going to run more aggressive, won't they? So won't that wear on those tires more?
It won't speed it up that much, I don't think. We've only seen 2 trucks have tire problems. You know, if you think about it, everybody else has stayed on this side of the tire problem.
And they ran 41 green flag laps this last time. We're going to have 37 green flag laps, assuming we don't get any more caution flags. Ray?
Guys, I agree with you there, but a number of guys on the radio right now saying that if we get a caution in the next 10 to 15 laps, we're coming back down for another set of tires. Everybody would love to have fresh ones with 20 laps to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to be cool if the caution comes out in about 10 laps, or if it comes out with 10 to go, watching these cats make up their mind on what to do strategy-wise. I hope they're saving those tires like I suggested they did earlier.
It's Jack Sprague just in front of Kyle Busch. Brandon Witt moves up to 3rd. Todd Cleaver 4th. Johnny Benson rounding out the top 5.
Kyle Busch goes for the lead. He's the 15 black truck on the inside, goes for the lead on Jack Sprague, the 60 truck.
Man, they must have had a great pit stop. He had fallen back out of the top 5 before that caution.
And you know he changed 4 tires. I don't think anybody here would gamble on 2 tires.
And Kyle's got that Cup experience. He understands now it's time to go. You know, those Cup races, 500 miles long, you might just take it easy throughout some parts of the race. But right now, I want Kyle Busch driving my truck if I'm out there because he knows how to put the hammer down.
This is the 440-mile mark for Kyle Busch right now. He knows there's about 60 miles to go.
But it appears that Jack has the truck today. We'll see if he can run him back down and get the win.
Kyle opens it up. He opens up about a 6-truck length lead over Jack Sprague. There's that 0-4 Bobby Hamilton. Don't count him out. He's been first and third in 2 attempts here at Atlanta in the trucks.
Right around the top of the racetrack, too. God, he likes it up there, doesn't he?
Kyle Busch making his 15th career Truck Series start. He already has 2 wins in this series. Both of them came this season, and we see 3 wide racing in Atlanta.
Bobby Hamilton was so wide that the other guys below him didn't even know he was there.
Craven had a near miss down in turn 1 and 2 just then, fellas.
And Craven is backing up right now.
Yes, he is. It looks like maybe he's got a flat tire. Yeah, I think he's got a flat tire.
We just heard him come on the radio and say, I've got a tire going down, guys. So he's going to want to get out of this mess of traffic right now and make his way down pit road.
Well, if he makes it through this corner at that speed, I would come back on the radio and say, I don't guess I do. I don't guess I do have a tire going down. There's no way he could have done that with a flat tire. So he probably thinks now he's okay.
A lot of times we talk about debris on tires right after a restart, but typically when you change tires, you don't get that debris. If you stay on the racetrack on old hot tires is when you get the debris. So I don't think it's a debris situation.
White knuckle loose, he reports. That's what it feels like if you have a flat tire. That's why he was confused.
Well, and Todd Bodine's not helping out at all when he gets right up behind him. Takes the air off the spoiler.
Yeah, that's like a shark after fresh meat. When you think a guy's loose, you say, I'm going to get really close to him and see what happens. Sometimes you forget that you might be the recipient of a crash if you do that.
Previous winners at this racetrack, one of those is Bobby Hamilton, the other one Ron Hornaday. Bobby Hamilton currently in 4th position. We could have a repeat winner here today. Side by side for the lead. That's Jack Sprague and the number 60 on the bottom of the track. Kyle Busch and the number 15 on the top of the track. They continue side by side down the backstretch.
Don't forget that 23 truck right behind these two, Johnny Benson.
What about the agenda for these 3? You got Kyle Busch who shows up every now and he just wants to win. Jack's got him a new ride. Johnny hadn't got him a win this year. All 3 of these guys are just chomping at that steering wheel trying to get to the front.
29 of Brad Keselowski having to come down pit road because of a black flag. The pins in the hood came loose, and so he was causing a problem, or potentially could cause a problem if that would have come up.
Yeah, all these trucks have 4 hood pins, hood fasteners. 2 of them came out on the 29. He could have probably got by with 1 out, but he had 2 out, and that was a dangerous situation. NASCAR brought him in.
Jack Sprague out in front of Kyle Busch. Johnny Benson coming into play as we have just 26 laps of racing to go. Ray, what's going on with Johnny?
Well, guys, Wendy had mentioned earlier that Johnny had 4 second-place finishes. As we were coming into the garage today, I saw his truck owner, Bill Davis, and I said, Bill, what is the big picture for next year? Well, you have 3 trucks, 4 trucks. What is the deal? He said, our plan is to have 3, but as of right now, we do not have a sponsor settled in for this number 23 truck. I really hope that works out because I'd love to have Johnny back. He also would love to try to get something put together for Steve Park. So I asked Bill Davis, I said, is there a chance that any of these 3 truck drivers will be moving up to your Cup deal? He said, right now, that's not our plan. We're looking at some other options for that 22 car. But he said, for the 23 truck, we're hoping Johnny Benson is back in 06.
And Johnny Benson could be our 15th different winner in 2005. He's got to get by 2 trucks in front of him, those of Jack Sprague and Kyle Busch. We'll come right back. Welcome back to the EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200 on Speed Channel. Jack Sprague and the number 60 going by Robert Presley, the number 59. That's a lapped truck. Sprague putting some distance between himself and Kyle Busch. Now almost 2 seconds separate those 2 trucks.
This is the biggest lead anybody has enjoyed this entire race. We've got 14 laps to go for Jack Sprague.
Something's going to have to change because we've never had this much distance between first and second at the end of the race. So,
well,
it's not over.
I got a lot of, I get a little excited over these finishes in Atlanta. I'm breathing okay right now. I know Jack doesn't want to see a caution, but you got to kind of expect we're going to have one. It always works out here, and it's a crazy finish. What happens now if a caution comes out? You got to pit. It's going to be a nutty finish if the caution flies.
Wendy, what's going on with JB?
Well, just real quick to add what you just said, Mikey, I talked to Richie Waters, and he said they would pit if the caution came out. And when I asked Tony Bird the same thing about Jack Sprague, he said, no, I don't think we'll pit if the caution came out. Now, I do want to add our third-place guy, Johnny Benson, he's had a neutral setup today, but he has problems with his tires all day long. They put scuffs on this last set of tires, but he just reported that the tires have gone bad. We'll watch the 23.
Uh-oh. When we report that,
that's a bad report.
It's followed by a blowout.
And a caution, which I'm guessing some drivers would love to see right now.
Some drivers would love to see. I know there's probably about 25,000, 30,000 folks sitting here in Atlanta that'd like to see that.
Jack Sprague would be one of the drivers that would not like to see a caution flag. He's got over a 2-second lead now, almost 2 3/10 of a second over our second-place truck of Kyle Busch.
And he is hammering it, Phil. He is driving away from him about a half a second a lap. So Jack's just hoping it stays status quo. No changes between here and the checker, and he's going to be fine.
He beat Kyle Busch that time by over a half a second. That's what an outstanding pace Jack Sprague is running right now.
Kyle Busch falling off of the pace. Almost 3 seconds separates Jack Sprague from Kyle Busch, and you can see the distance between the two trucks. No trucks in between them, but a lot of distance between the 60 of Jack Sprague and the 15 of Kyle Busch.
A little over 2 miles an hour that time. Jack Sprague was faster than their second-place truck of Kyle Busch. Johnny Benson is closed up right to the rear bumper of the 15 of Kyle Busch.
When you're Jack Sprague right now, Phil, you're just thinking, please, no caution. Nothing happened between now and the finish.
We're getting a report that the 15 truck is calling that there's debris on the racetrack, which if you're struggling out there, that's what you're normally going to say is there's something on the racetrack. You remember that number 30 truck, Michael, that hit the wall here not too long ago?
I do, Phil.
He's running 5th.
Jack Sprague looking to be our 3rd different winner at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but we've got to look at the big picture. Big picture being the points championship. Dennis Setzer coming into this. Dennis started in the 6th position. He dropped back to 14th is where he's running right now. And the person that he is competing with is Ted Musgrave. Musgrave is in front of him even after hitting the wall very hard because of a blown right front tire. Musgrave currently running in 8th position. 75 points separate those two.
Musgrave's slow, though, Rick. I told you earlier, when he had that crash, it was going to put a premium. He's got it right rear flat. See it right there?
Smoke coming out of the number 1 Mopar Dodge. And so Musgrave coming off of the pace. This could be monumental. The caution comes out.
Inside of 10 laps to go. What are you going to do now, Michael?
Take a deep breath, please.
Phil, I've been so good today. I hadn't really said anything dumb. I'll just soon not comment right now. I think they all pit.
You think they all pit?
I think they all pit.
We're going to restart with 3 or 4 laps to go, possibly, and you think they're all going to pit?
No.
Now,
I think some of them are going to pit.
When you say that, there are 18 trucks currently on the lead lap. And so if you do pit, if you're up front, you could possibly start 18th. Can you make that up in 3 laps?
You're not going to be the only truck that pits.
Right.
I'll tell you, if Jack Sprague comes down pit road as our leader, I'm not sure that they all won't follow him. But maybe somebody running 14th or 15th may decide to stay out and say, hey, let me roll the dice here.
4 tires. Yep.
I'm thinking they're all going to pit. Every one of them. I'm going with that.
Heard 4 tires. Yep.
That was Kyle Busch, I think, that said that. So it's going to be interesting to see if Jack Sprague comes down pit road. I think we know that Kyle Busch, their second-place truck, is going to come down pit road.
I didn't need. This is crazy. I don't even.
We're coming.
There you have it.
That's Kyle?
That was Kyle Busch saying, we're coming.
I bet you Jack stays out.
If he stays
would be
out,
a sitting duck.
He's going to be a sitting duck. I don't think he can win this race if he stays out, and most everyone else pits.
I think he stays out. And then some of the bite markers stay out with him, and Kyle never gets to him.
There goes Kyle Busch.
That's how it's going to land. Johnny Benson also stays out, as does Todd Cleaver. Now it's going to be hard with so many trucks staying out for Kyle Busch to get back to the front.
Wendy.
Last-minute call, the 60 of Jack Sprague did decide to stay out, but Kyle Busch isn't. He desperately wanted an air pressure adjustment on those tires. It looks like they are going to do a 4-tire stop on the 15, Ray?
Well, Wendy, Dennis Setzer will be coming down pit road, and he has to go around Joey Miller's number 12. He has no problem with doing that. They are going to go down on the wedge on the left side here. Now, here's the thing. When they saw Musgrave have the problem, they decided they had to pit here. Setzer's going to try to have a good finish. Back to Wendy.
Ted Musgrave finds himself sitting on pit road as the crew is now around on the left-hand side. He did have a flat right tire, and they chose to do 4 tires since the caution did come out. Genie originally was just going to put 2 on, but they did put 4 fresh stickers on that machine.
It's a fight to the finish. We've got a great points battle going on between Ted Musgrave, who is definitely on fire, and Dennis Setzer. We'll be back for the finish. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. By Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. Wendy, what's going on with Jack Sprague and that team?
A gutsy move by our leader and his crew chief, Tony Furt. Tony, why did you decide to stay out when we saw Kyle Busch come down pit road?
It's a tough decision no matter what you do right here. I think our best chance of winning the race is staying out. That's what I'm going to do.
All right, they're going for broke here in the 60 pit.
Fortunately for him, we've got 7 other trucks that stayed out. The top 8 stayed on the racetrack. Ray?
Well, Todd Cleaver wanted to pit, and his crew chief, Mike Beam, said, no, we're rolling the dice here. If we get 7 or 8 guys that stay out there, no way they're going to come up here and catch through all of us. So that is their strategy as we will restart here on 127. Is that correct, guys? They decided staying out might be their best bet.
Okay, and I think that's a good call, considering he got the help he was looking for. You know, he did what he thought he had to do to win the race, the 60 truck, by staying out. And then luckily for him, 7 other guys stayed out with him. But when they get to turn 1 with a single file restart, I hope we can get a camera on Kyle Busch. He's got Chris Wimmer and Terry Cook right in front of him, then David Starr. Then he starts working on the top 5. He could be in the top 5 before he gets back here.
And remember, on new tires, he can probably run wide open here. Jack Sprague and those other trucks that stayed on the racetrack will not be able to do that. You mentioned he may be well inside the top 5 by the time they get back around here to complete 1 lap.
1 lap, and I don't think he can catch the 60, but he can get to 2nd easy enough. But the 60 doesn't have any traffic. You watch him when he gets to this first turn. He's going to go where there ain't. That's what I like about Atlanta. You can go where they're not.
Well, remember, at the start of this race, Kyle Busch started 5th. At the end of 1 lap, he was leading.
Well, you just watch this.
Green flag flies. Here we go.
He got
3 laps of racing to go.
That was one of them. Now he's going after Terry Cook on the inside. Again, he's going to hold it down. He's going to hold that truck wide open. He drives by Terry Cook. Now he's going to look to the outside of the 75 of David Starr.
There he goes, around Starr.
Not a lot of room. He gets very close to the wall as he goes down the backstretch. Ricky Craven just in front of him.
Here comes Bobby Labonte and Bobby Hamilton right behind him. They're cutting a trail to the front.
And look at the closing rate. Kyle Busch goes by Todd Cleaver. As they go by the tri-oval, Kyle Busch in 4th position.
I'm telling you, he's got 2 laps to go. He's not that far behind. I think Kyle Busch is going to win this race.
He beat him a 2nd that lap. Over a 2nd, Phil, coming through traffic. He outrun the leader. Now he's driving around Tom Bodine for 3rd. He might be leading by the time they take the white.
As you mentioned, he's got fresh tires. He can go where they're not.
And he is wide open. Some of these guys having to feather the accelerator as they come by the start-finish line. 1 lap of racing to go. Jack Sprague just in front of Johnny Benson, and Kyle Busch has moved to 3rd.
He needs to get one of them this corner, and then he needs to get our leader, Jack Sprague, the next corner. I think he's going to do it.
On the bottom of the racetrack, Kyle Busch able to hug the white line as he goes through 1 and 2. Down the backstretch, Jack Sprague will try to block. Can he block Kyle Busch? Kyle Busch looks high. They go through 3 and 4. Here comes Jack Sprague up high, and here comes Johnny Benson. Benson's going to slide out of 4. Sprague's going to slide out of 4, and Kyle Busch is going to win this race.
What kind of finishes can we have here?
Bobby Labonte got hit hard by the 50 truck.
And then the 75 came along, but what amazing finishes we've had here at Atlanta.
Almost Coming out of 4, they were 4 wide. Johnny Benson got loose. He started to spin. Jack Sprague got loose. He started to spin. Kyle Busch drives right by. We see Bobby Labonte climbing out of that 47. A very good sight to see him able to get out under his own power.
Great to see Bobby's limping a little bit. He took an awfully hard shot right there. Awfully glad to see Bobby out of that truck.
Now, I told you it all was going to get crazy at the end. We can't help it. It always happens here in Atlanta.
It doesn't get a whole lot crazier than that, I don't think. Kyle Busch did have time. Those fresh tires allowed him to pass all 8 trucks. He wins this race.
Look when he ran his fastest lap of the race, Phil.
The next to the last lap.
Passing trucks.
Unofficial results have Kyle Busch up on top. Here we see the race. Jack Sprague getting sideways. Johnny Benson getting sideways. Bobby Labonte involved in it. Todd Bodine comes through unscathed. Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine come across from first and second.
Kyle hit the wall. He hit the wall trying to get by Jack Sprague. Jack moved up the racetrack. Kyle Busch wins this race on a tremendous drive over the last 2 laps. Let's take a look at it again. Watch. He's going to hit the wall, trying to give Jack Sprague some room. Bobby Labonte makes contact with Jack Sprague. Johnny goes through the infield. Here comes Todd on the racetrack. Todd finishes, I'm not sure, because the start-finish line goes all the way from the outside wall to the inside wall. So Johnny crossed the start-finish line in the grass. They've moved him up to second.
And the last time we saw someone slide across the start-finish line in second, it was Mike Skinner, and he finished second to Bobby Hamilton. And there you see Kyle Busch celebrating win number 3 in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. 15 starts for that young man, and he's asking for the checkered flag.
Well, he deserves that checkered flag. What a great gutsy call by Richie Waters, though, and that entire crew. And having a good pit stop, too.
Another great call by Richie Waters. He had trucks coming with him to the front, Phil, but the track position that he got off pit road enabled him to get there first.
Well, folks, Kyle Busch was told, you need to get to victory lane. Well, Kyle Busch wanted that checkered flag a little bit more, and so he decided to stop underneath the flag stand. Well, Wayne Otten, the series director, said, I'd like to see you after this race. Kyle Busch coming home. Winner in Atlanta.
Oh, that's insult to injury there.
Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Wendy.
Get ready.
Can we push him back just a tad?
Kyle Busch climbs out of the 15 truck driven for Billy Blue Motorsports. He walks over the bed to congratulate. Oh, and he jumps on his crew. First it was Lowe's Motor Speedway. Second it was Dover. And now his 3rd victory of the season in the Truck Series comes right here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kyle, did you ever think that those last 6 laps were going to end? Did you know you had enough power to make it back up front?
I didn't think I was going to have enough to get back up front, no. But, you know, Jack Sprague raced me really clean there in the beginning part of that run. And I want to thank him for that, but I'm damn sure not going to thank him for the end of that finish there. That was more or less a Rowdy Burns from Days of Thunder or something like that, running me up in the fence. But he was trying to go for the win, but he knew he wasn't going to get it, and I don't know why he tore up our perfectly good truck. We're taking to Texas next week, so we're going to fix it, and we're going to get him that back right there.
Talk about more about that finish. What else went on? Was it just you and Sprague getting together? It was pretty wild with everyone out there.
It was, but it was a good, clean race overall. I mean, I thought those long green runs were pretty awesome. Everybody did a great job out there. Mike Skinner and I, we had a battle there in the beginning. That was fun. I mean, that was a blast driving with Mike Skinner there in the beginning. And, you know, I just want to thank Chevy Silverado, Earl Smalls, Harley Davidson, and Crud Cutters, Land Liquidators from eBay, everybody that's been involved this whole weekend to make it possible for us in Billy Blue Motorsports.
You only had 3 green flag laps on those tires. Did you think Richie made a bad call at first?
Actually, Richie was right there with me on the call, and I says, you know what, we're going to come down and get tires. I don't care where we finish. And I knew we were going to have a good shot to win the thing. I pulled low, pretending I was going to go to the bottom side of Jack there, getting into 3, and he went low, tried to keep it down there, got real loose, started skating up the racetrack, and then he just drove into us up the racetrack. But by then it was too late for me to cut down back underneath him and make the pass, you know, stick that way. So I just had to keep my foot in it and go to the outside. I never lifted coming up out of there. I mean, we hit the fence full bore, and I just stayed in it, hoping that nobody was going to pass me on my inside.
Congratulations to you. His 3rd win and only his 8th start this season, Ray.
Well, Wendy, Todd Bodine has a pair of wins this year on mile-and-a-half tracks, a second place today, but we saw you slam into the wall. How in the world did you bring this thing home second?
Lucky, I guess. I don't know. I got a great crew. This Toyota Tundra team is awesome. Jermaine guys that just work hard, and this is a truck we won at Vegas with, and it was fast again. We missed the setup a little bit and just had the camber wrong on the right front, and that's how we cut that tire down. But the Goodyear tires were great. It's just something we did. You know, I gotta say hey to all the Hillmans at home, Sandy and Mel, and thank the guys here. Cytomax, my Jim, Bosch, Valvoline. Gotta say hi to Ashland Punkin, I love you. And one of the NASCAR officials, Dan, a great guy. Gotta say hi to his daughter, Samantha. Happy birthday, your dad's proud of you. We're proud of this whole team, proud of Toyota Tundra. It was another good day. We survived. You know, I knew when I saw Kyle and Bobby come up through there with the new tires, I said, man, this is going to get interesting. I just pulled over. I let him go. I said, man, there's no way I can race him, hold him back. So let him go and see what happens. And lo and behold, Jack and Johnny both got loose in front of him. You know, Kyle made it around the outside, and I went to the middle, opened up, and there was a hole, and the smoke cleared, and I was second. Got lucky.
It was a wild finish, no doubt about it. Todd Bodine brings his Toyota home second.
The only thing he didn't do is thank the old Aaron's Dream Machine.
Well, I'm glad you got that in, Michael.
Thought he could have worked that out.
Let's take a look at the finish of this race. Again, Jack Sprague in the number 60 on the inside. Kyle Busch in the number 50 going on the high side. This is through 3 and 4.
This is a situation where Jack Sprague's watching the mirror. He wants to go where Kyle wants to go. He wants to block him. Unfortunately, lost control of his truck, slid up into Kyle, pushed Kyle in the wall, but Kyle, as he said, never let off the throttle, drove it to the start-finish line to get the victory.
We saw the 50 of Todd Cleaver getting into the 47 of Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte limping when he got out of his truck. Well, that 50 of Todd Cleaver, it went right up into the wall. The tire was jammed almost back into the cockpit of that truck.
Man, it's a last lap, the last turn. Jack Sprague didn't spin anybody out on purpose. He was just trying to hold a guy off. The guy squeezed in a hole that he didn't think that he could get in, and I think Kyle should be happy he won the race, but he shouldn't be mad at Jack. Jack's just doing all he can to get to the finish.
Kyle would have done the same thing if he was on old tires and Jack came along on fresh tires. Kyle's going to try to keep him behind him. That's what Jack was doing.
He's just wandering up the hill a little bit. A lot.
Then they made a little contact. That's really what looks like it got Jack sideways. Then he makes contact with Bobby Labonte. Bobby makes some pretty hard contact with the outside wall. And then here comes a real shot. You see Todd Cleaver, the 50 truck, the white truck, makes awfully hard contact right in the door of Bobby Labonte. Here comes David Starr. He makes some contact with the front of the 47 of Bobby Labonte.
A lot of trucks involved in this accident. That's why the finish is still unofficial.
I'm seeing Bobby Hamilton coming through here in 7th or 8th. Is this Bobby Hamilton sliding? See if we can look over here in the grass. There goes Johnny
through the grass.
There's somewhere along in here, Bobby Hamilton comes through.
There's a start-finish line right there. Here comes Joey Miller, Ricky Craven. There's David Starr, hard contact with the 47 of Bobby Labonte.
I bet you Bobby Labonte was saying, would y'all quit it? There's a wall. And
that wreck just continued. There you see Todd's tire.
There's Bobby Hamilton right there.
That's where
look at
Todd Cleaver's feet are supposed to be.
Look how far towards the firewall that tire.
The results will definitely change. They've got Bobby Hamilton down right now in the 17th spot because he came through in the grass. But he actually finished probably about 8th or 9th, maybe even 7th.
And NASCAR will review the tape here. They have a camera right at the start-finish line on the inside of the racetrack, inside the pit wall, and they will be able to look all the way across to the outside wall, and they'll be able to determine who came across when.
Hamilton's probably going to be about 7th or 8th.
Let's ride along. This is Bobby Labonte in the 47.
Hold your line, low, straight ahead.
There's a wall.
Now listen.
I tell you, it just about knocks the wind out of you just listening to that.
Me and you especially.
Yeah.
We've felt that. We've felt that pain before.
Here comes David Starr.
Keep coming, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low. Keep coming, stay low.
Oh, nowhere to go.
Yeah, he wanted to stay low, but it looked like the 38 of Brendan Witt was right beside him, so David didn't have a whole lot of choice. He wanted to get to the start-finish line. Unfortunately, he caught up Bobby Labonte also.
Did you hear his gas pedal there? He was coasting for a minute, but then he saw the start-finish line. He got back on the gas, and then the oil went everywhere. He couldn't even see where he was.
Kyle Busch in victory lane for the 3rd time in 2005. pictures and celebration continuing in victory lane for Kyle Busch. Today's Mobil 1 move of the race is brought to you by High Endurance Oils from Mobil, official motor oil of NASCAR. And this could be any part of the end of this race. Kyle Busch coming across the start-finish line with 1 lap to go. He was in 3rd position. He's got to get by Johnny Benson as well as Jack Sprague. He makes light work of Johnny Benson in 1 and 2.
And Phil, you said it best. He's got to get around one of them in this end and one of them in the next end.
But the one on this end down here is a little more eventful than the other one was. Unfortunately, they're going to make a little contact. Kyle's going to bounce off the wall. Jack's going to get turned around. Watch this. Here's Jack sideways. He clips Bobby Labonte. Johnny's sideways. Heads straight for the grass. Todd gets by. And here comes Todd Cleaver. He hits the outside wall before he hits Bobby Labonte.
You see Joey Miller there in Darrell's truck. Got him a top 10 finish. A great run for that kid. And I just thought it was interesting. Jack tried to run him up the hill as far as he could to slow him down. And he lost his truck in doing so. Wendy, what is ask Jack what happened.
Oh, I sure will. You would never guess that Jack was leading on the white flag, and then 15 just came out of nowhere like gangbuster. What did you think of that finish?
That was pretty cool. Didn't work out quite the way I had it planned, but, you know, I knew when them guys stopped for tires, I wasn't going to stop. There was no way. I was half second faster than the rest of them on the tires we were on, and I didn't want to have to come from that far back. I didn't think it was possible, and if they could have held them up, if Johnny could have held them up one more corner, I'd have had it made, but you know, I run the last 3 laps wide open. I just wasn't sticking as good as he was on the new tires. And come off 2, and I seen him coming, and it looked like he was going to the inside. So I went into 3 in the middle. I figured let him have the bottom. At least maybe I'll have the momentum, and I can still win the race. I'm not in the points battle to win the championship. I wasn't going to lift. It was win or wreck. And all of a sudden, I look in the mirror, and he's outside me and pulling me around. And there was nothing I could really do at that point, so I just stayed in it wide open and didn't lift. And somehow I made it through the grass, crossed our finish line, and 4th. But man, I got to thank the Weilers, Toyota, and Tony. What an awesome truck. I mean, dominated the second half of this race. It was a lot of fun, and we're going to get our share of wins.
Like I said, he was going for broke before the green-white checkered, but he'll go home 4th in the record books today. Ray?
Well, Wendy, Johnny Benson had a good truck all day. He ran in the top 5, came home with a 3rd place finish, but man, what a wild end of that when you came through the grass. Tell me about your viewpoint.
No, it was big. I mean, I saw Jack start to slide up the track, and I just thought, man, I'm just going to flat foot the corner and just see if I can make it through there. And I just, you know, Bobby right on the right rear quarter panel there just started to get me loose, and I just wasn't going to lift till I got here. Fortunately, I ran out of racetrack, so it was great. You know, everybody at Toyota used vehicles did a great job, and certified used vehicles, and just really great weekend. We had you know, some new people on board from Atlanta here, All-Star Financial Group, and that was great. I was just trying to show my logo coming off for it, that's all.
You did a good job. We'll see you at Texas. Johnny Benson's 3rd. Now back to Wendy.
We don't know where Ted Musgrave finished officially. We don't know where the points stand, but we're going to talk to you anyways because we know you're still a contender. What a rough day with 2 flat tires.
Oh, man, I tell you, every time we sit here and talk, we're watching the board, Wendy. It goes from the top. I go anywhere from 10th to 19th on the board, so when NASCAR finally figures out where they want people, they'll post it. But, yeah, we had a flat tire in the right front and destroyed the front end. It burnt the front clip. Toe end was out, aero got screwed up, but you know, the truck actually took off and ran pretty decent, you know, in the middle run there. And then sure enough, like I say, we blew our right rear tire off. And then when that happened, it tore all the brake lines. I had absolutely no brakes. So I'm sitting out there going, let's see, I broke the right front. I don't know what's going to happen there. The toe's off, the steering wheel's off, the right rear blew off, and now I got no brakes. When's this going to end? So finally it did, and what a wild finish. You know, the Mopar truck was good. Like I say, the thing is, you just got to come over and, you know, get over these adversities. And I think that's what the biggest thing here at this team. They know how to do that.
They definitely look like a championship contending team today. We'll see how the points shake out. Rick?
Again, these are unofficial results for the EasyCare Vehicle Service Contracts 200. Kyle Busch coming home top spot. And then you see 3 Toyotas, Johnny Benson, Todd Bodine, and Jack Sprague. All of that still being shaken out right now by NASCAR. They're taking a look at all the video to make sure just who crossed the start-finish line first.
Yeah, I think you'll find that Bobby Hamilton will be a part of this top 10 when it's all finally listed, which will move him. He's already ahead of Musgrave, Phil. It'll put him ahead of Setzer as well. So that'll lessen the blow that
Musgrave's going to feel
exactly
in the points. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll lessen it even more.
See, Ron Hornaday, our winner from here in March, did not have a great day. Ends up getting a lap down. Finishes in the 22nd position, unofficially.
Man, when these tires go off at a place like Atlanta, it really shows when your setup isn't right. You just can't do anything.
Take a look at the unofficial point standings through 22 races. Ted Musgrave just in front of Dennis Setzer. by just 36. He came into this with a 54-point lead, so Setzer whittling away a little bit at that points lead.
Yeah, we've got 3 to go, and we've got a point race.
Todd Bodine, the top Toyota on that top 10 list. The Toyota Spotlight lets us take a closer look at where today's Toyotas finished. Johnny Benson unofficially second. Todd Bodine third in this one in an unbelievable, wild finish. And so Atlanta Motor Speedway, after all of its refurbishing, put on one of the best shows, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We'll be back to close out today's show after this. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, celebrating 10 years tough of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Great crowd on hand today for the Truck Series race. This could be the hottest ticket in all of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series after these 3 races.
Something like that was going to go down at the end, because we've seen it every time. Here's Sprague driving away by half a second a lap with a 5-second lead, but it was not to be.
You said at the very beginning of the show, if we see a caution flag inside of 20 laps to go, you think they need tires. And then you said Jack Sprague should stay out.
Well, I changed my mind. I've learned through this experience that I need to adapt my strategy as the race develops. So I'm going to be a good crew chief one day, I think.
You said you were all over the pit strategy today.
I had it. I knew they had to save tires. I knew Bobby Hamilton would be a factor. I just love Craftsman Truck Series racing.
Especially here at Atlanta. We're going to have a great one next week, too, in Texas.
I feel like a group hug.
3. I don't think so. Next week, we're at Texas Motor Speedway, another 1.5 mile track. Dennis Setzer's fared pretty well there. He's won twice. On this racetrack, 8 different drivers led. Kyle Busch and Jack Sprague both led 45 laps. Mike Skinner, who looked like he would be the dominant truck today, didn't fare as well. Ted Musgrave and Dennis Setzer are locked into one of the greatest battles in the Truck Series, and it's now only 36 points that separate the 2 of them. Accidents came early, and they came hard. But it was Kyle Busch who came home the winner for the 3rd time in 2005. Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, I'm Rick Allen saying so long, and thanks for watching.